been spending the last couple of weeks wrestling up from guard. So we had it where my opponent was standing and I was in some sort of seated guard. We started with what if we're both like sort of, I'm in seated guard and he's on his knees or something, and we're going to continue from there. So what we've been working with right now is this idea of I come in and I'm pressuring into my opponent and he's pressuring back. So we have sort of snapping down, he's on his head, I go to the front head, arm drag, I'm coming here, and I want to build off of that idea. So coming in, I pressure into him and I build off of his reaction what my wrestle up is going to be. So, and more importantly, what his different reactions are to my pressuring in. So starting off with the same idea, I'm coming up, pressuring into him, he pressures in and still coming in, snap down. And this time, he's not just going up to his hands, but he's actually walking up into a 4-point and tries to walk himself back to standing. And what I'm going to do is use this motion to grab his ankle and my front head to throw his head over his foot and get an ankle kick. Okay? So this kind of a reaction from my opponent is admittedly less common in Jiu-Jitsu people, but wrestlers do this a lot. Yeah, wrestlers always want to go up to their feet. So someone who's had some wrestling experience, you're going to see him do this a lot. He'll always go and try to build back up to standing because he's going to be very comfortable standing. So we're going to be building off of that reaction. So same idea, underneath. So we're here for some reason where when he's on his knees, I'm in my guard. I pressure up into him, he pushes down, snap down, and get my front head. He comes into a 4-point and starts walking himself back. Grab the ankle, and you want to grab low, and I'm not going to pull the ankle because he's got a lot of weight on his feet. What I'm doing is taking my front head and bringing his head over his ankle, and that's going to make it, for some paradoxical reason, that makes this ankle light. Okay? So, any questions on that? I think it's a fairly simple technique. So,
you pressure with the knee also, or is the pressure in the beginning here?
You mean when I pressure into at the beginning? I'm pressuring everything basically. So I'm basically coming up and I'm pressuring my whole body in.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
There's a lot of weight coming.
Yeah. I want my whole body weight because if I just push with my arm, his arms are probably going to be, if he has one arm, it's probably going to be just as strong. If he uses two, it's going to be stronger. Exactly. So I want my whole weight into it. And that's going to make this reaction. That's where he has to lean back with his whole body. Lean in with his whole body. Okay? So anyone want to see it again? One time? Okay. I'll actually do this also as kind of a fairly normal speed, so it's not just working off. So. Okay, so okay? So remember, if you're the person receiving the technique, you have to go into a 4-point and you have to walk back. That's the reaction we're playing off of right now, okay? So, then give this a try. Building off the same idea, now we're going to deal with a completely different reaction. So right now we've always been doing, I pressure in and he pressures back. He either tries to grab a single leg or he tries to pressure and throw me on the ground. Now we're going to deal with when he just doesn't feel like dealing with any of this shit. So I grab a collar tie and instead of trying to pressure into me now, he just stands up and tries to go away. Yeah, basically that's his reaction now. That's what he wants to do. Okay, so I don't have my front headlock now. I've just got my collar tie and he is just trying to stand up and get rid of and strip off the collar tie. So now in this situation, I can still do my ankle pick. Okay, I need to make my hand heavy though, to make sure I keep that collar tight. So from here, nice heavy hand, he starts to come up. Yeah, this is what I want. Shove him over. And then get the ankle pick again. But the main thing with this one, and that's probably going to be everyone's mistake, you can't let him straighten your arm. Okay? That's what I meant when I said a heavy hand. So if he is able to get his head up, I lose. Okay, I can't do, no, that's what, that's the next one we're gonna do. But if he gets his head up, I can't ankle pick him anymore. So I've gotta have a nice heavy hand, I've gotta keep this posture broken. So I want him basically coming up so that I keep his head where it is. Okay? And now I shove his head over his foot and ankle pick. You're coming now.
For sparring.
Okay, so does that look clear? Anyone want to see that again?
Yes, one more time.
Yeah, one more time? Okay. So, like I said, we have our same general starting position. Grabbing the head, coming in, and nice and heavy on that hand. And you see I'm already shoving them over. Grab the foot, and ankle. Okay, and it's the same principle. If I have his head in front of his foot, no resistance. If I have his head here, no resistance, that's it. If I have his head here, no, don't fall. I mean, don't resist me. Don't fall like ragdoll, but don't like push back against my hands. Okay, so if I have his foot here, it's not going anywhere. Okay? And you need to push his head over his foot. Now the foot comes easy. Okay?
Also erst erziehen und dann drücken.
Hängen, ne? Oder?
Yeah, hanging. So just kind of hang on. Again, basically kind of, the way I'm doing the collar ties, I'm basically I'm not doing this, because he can just posture out of that. So my fingers are basically on the other side of his neck, and I'm hanging in with all my weight and keeping this elbow bent. So now if he tries to stand up, he's got all my weight on his head. And now I can shove over and do this. Okay? So, turn around. Last technique of the day. So, still the same idea. Instead of trying to pressure back into me, now he's trying to get up and get away. And this time, this is basically if he's really good at posturing up and getting his head up, and he manages to break my collar tie. So here, he comes up. Yeah, he breaks my collar tie, and I think everyone can see exactly what's in front of me right now. Okay, so if I lose the collar tie, I can shoot straight into a double leg. Okay, so it's a pretty simple one, but I've actually done this one in sparring a couple of times too. So, okay, so I come up. Okay, and important, I say it all the time, I like to have my head right on his stomach. Okay, I don't like having my head on the side. So I see people, and it's common in wrestling to have the head on the side. So if he comes up, it's very common to have your head here. The problem for us in Jiu-Jitsu is that in wrestling, exactly, they don't have guillotine chokes. They're not allowed to choke you in wrestling.
Yeah, but also we learned in wrestling also against Nicky that if you're very straight, it doesn't really work. So it's a danger, of course.
I've pulled it off on people. Well, the thing is exactly, if you are perfectly straight, it's not going to work. But how many people are trying to get it and do this?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, that doesn't account for the mistake. Second of all, if I'm here, grab your with me. If he's able to sprawl,
you can sprawl your head
yeah,
down.
and then he gets my head down, and now I'm in guillotine danger. And I mean, yeah, there are things you can do against it, but prevention, in English there's the saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you just put your head on his stomach instead of the side, you're just not in the danger in the first place, so why put yourself in danger?
Meaning you have more power to the side if you want to do the takedown sideways. I think it's better to have the head outside.
Yeah, but again, that puts you in guillotine danger. I would rather sacrifice the takedown and not get submitted than get a takedown and then wind up getting choked. And if anyone says, like, perfect example, Craig Jones versus Kyle Boom, ADCC. It was exactly that. He did double leg head outside, and Craig Jones immediately guillotined him. So it will definitely happen. So and that's kind of the thing. If your head is just in the middle, there's just not the danger. And like I would just always prefer not to get submitted than to get the takedown. So that's the lesser of the two evils. Okay? So last showing.